Fifth sign, John 6:16 through 21. Jesus walking on the water. That evening, Jesus' followers went down to the lake. It was dark now, and Jesus had not yet come back to them. They got into a boat and started going across the lake to Capernaum. The wind was blowing very hard. The waves on the lake had become bigger. They rowed the boat about 3 or 4 miles. Then they saw Jesus. He was walking on the water, coming to the boat. They were afraid, but he said to them, "Don't be afraid, it's me." When he said this, they were glad to take him into the boat. And then the boat reached the shore at the place they wanted to go.
Don't be afraid. When our 2 younger kids were growing up, we had an elderly dog named Frisky that stayed in our backyard, protecting our property from squirrels. Usually, they were faster than she, and almost always, they got to the tree ahead of her. But she had done her duty and would bark until we had told her that she had done a great job. Then she went back and lay down, waiting for the next one. One day, a squirrel didn't quite make the tree, and Frisky was right on its tail. The squirrel did the only thing it could to save its life. It ran up inside one of the gutters attached to our house, allowing the rain to drain onto the grass. There the squirrel discovered what others had found out over the years. No outlet is big enough at the top to allow it to escape. The second problem is the gutter was too skinny to allow the squirrel to turn around. So here was the squirrel holding on to something inside for dear life and screeching at the top of its lungs, while the jaws of death were at the other end, barking and just waiting for that squirrel to let go. The kid's mother decided I needed to rescue the squirrel, so I drew up a plan. First, I put Frisky in her kennel and shut the door. Next, I tried to coax the squirrel out, but it was just as scared of its rescuer as its tormentor. That's when my wife came up with her next idea. She told me I should get the water hose, climb up on a ladder, and squirt water down the top of the gutter. This, she thought, would wash the squirrel out to safety. The water did make the squirrel slide down to the bottom, but all I could see was its tail. So I jumped down, grabbed the tail, and began pulling. Now the squirrel was screeching, our other inside dog was barking, and the kids and their mother were yelling, "Don't let it bite you!" I managed to get a hold of the squirrel's back legs, and slowly it loosened its grip, probably from exhaustion, and slipped to the ground. It was soaking wet and looked like a drowned rat. It hobbled over to the tree and finally got up enough energy to disappear in the foliage. I often think of the times in my life when I'm unsure of where God is. Everything seems to be going wrong, or I may sin and not know how to stop. Out of the mess I seem to be in, Jesus says to me through a song, a person, a scripture, a sermon, or seemingly insignificant event, "Don't be afraid. It's me. Let go." God doesn't always take us out of the storm, but he tells us he'll get in the boat and ride with us. The disciples in this story were also fearful. They didn't realize that the creator of storms and waves was coming toward them. Matthew 14:26 adds this to the story. When they saw him walking on the water, it scared them. "It's a ghost," they said, screaming in fear. I wonder if sometimes we become more fearful of God, who is trying to rescue us, than we are of everyone and everything else in our life that means to do us harm.